So, I guess kind of the way I want to start is obviously you're releasing this album _dʌz. Is
Yeah,
that how you're pronouncing it? Because I noticed you're stylizing it quite different.
yeah. Well, we're spelling it with the sort of international phonetic alphabet, but that's just because it looks a bit funky. It is dozen. Yeah, we're calling it dozen. Absolutely.
Oh, okay, cool. Is it called _dʌz because there's 12 tracks, or is there another meaning behind the name?
No, you're absolutely spot on. So it's a concept album,
Mm.
and it's 12 tracks because of 12 months that will feature on the album.
Oh, okay. So does each song on the album kind of have like a January, February kind of theme?
Absolutely. So each track, the title of each track will have the name of each month in it.
Oh, okay. And is it based on kind of the 2018 you've had, or is it based on a January, February, etc. in particular?
No, it's really nothing to do with 2018 or my year or any particular year really. It's
Mm.
the concept is sort of this consistent theme running through the record is the 12 months of the year. So they're all cover songs, and the sort of requirement had to of picking the songs was that the original song had to have the name of the month in the title, and then the instrumentation that's going through the record of piano and the strings. That's the sort of concept as well. That's the theme, but it's kind of separate to all of the amazing stuff that happened this year with Eurovision and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just like trying to rack my brain if there's any Eurovision songs with months in the name, if there's gonna be any Eurovision covers. So is there any Eurovision covers on there?
Well, now I'm thinking, did we miss a trick? I That's such a good idea. I Well, no is the short answer. There aren't any Eurovision songs on there, and I don't know actually if there are any with the months
No,
in
I
the
can't
in the
think of any off
title.
the top of my head.
Well, we did a lot of research and
Yes.
delving into different tracks for this particular album,
Yeah.
so I'm sure we would have come across them. So maybe there aren't.
Well, I'm
Hmm.
going to find out after this.
Yeah, I'm intrigued as well.
So, how did you kind of go about when you found the songs that fit the theme you were doing?
Yeah.
Did you have several songs for, say, for an example, April, and you kind of have to choose between them? What was it that made you choose certain songs? Other than, was there like anything else to it other than the fact it fit your theme?
Yeah, so there were quite a few choices for some of the months. You're right. You know, some of the options that came up were multiple, and it it was kind of just what I connected with best. Which musical story I liked the most. We've put a lot of thought into this as a whole album, so as a whole record.
Hmm.
Um, so I really love sitting down and listening to an entire album, and these days we do have a lot of kind of I was trying to resist saying fast food music, but that everyone's dropping singles, you know what I mean, and singles, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's a huge market for that. Everyone loves that. But I'm hoping that people might take the time for themselves, just give themselves a bit of time and breathing space to listen to this as a whole record. So that influenced how we picked the songs as well, because they needed to kind of flow from one to the next, and we've put a lot of thought into that with the key signatures, the tempos and the speeds, how each month goes into the next, really. So we therefore are making it a whole unit, a whole collection, and that definitely influenced our choices. Yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds really interesting, and
Thank
it's
you.
not something I was expecting. So it really is. It sounds fantastic.
Thank
Um,
you. Well, the world that I came from before Eurovision,
mm,
my musical world of being at the piano-led singer-songwriter,
yeah.
um, you know, if anything, Eurovision was a bit of a beautiful curveball for
Mm,
me, career-wise. So I got back from Lisbon, and I think I had 3 days of doing a little bit of media craziness because of everything that happened. And then I was straight into band rehearsals for the Eurovision Unplugged tour that I was on through the summer.
Yeah.
And I was straight back into the world that I love and the world that I sort of belong in and the world that I came from, with the real musicians, the real instruments and everything around me, taking away sort of all the layers of all these amazing Eurovision songs and just exposing the songwriting, like highlighting the text and the lyrics. And we had such an amazing time with that over the summer, and all the amazing audiences that and crowds that came down to that. I think this album, ʻdʌz, really did kind of flow quite naturally from the amazing experience over the summer. That definitely influenced that.
Is it quite daunting almost, kind of, because of course you've recorded this album with the Gothenburg Orchestra. Is it quite daunting going from just you with your piano or with a smallish band to suddenly with an orchestra?
It can be, but to be honest, when they are led and conducted by Björn Double-Air as well, because he's the conductor, it's the most inspiring, wonderful thing in the world. And you have this wall of sound supporting you and backing you. I mean, if we think about Eurovision back in the day when they had, you know, a live orchestra on stage, there is nothing like it. And honestly, that's sort of where I'm happiest. Not that I can gig around with a live orchestra everywhere, I wish, but it speaks to me a lot more than backing tracks. Sort of program beats and synths. And although there's so much fun to be had in that world as well, of course, a live orchestra is so inspiring and so thrilling. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
Okay, so something that's kind of just coming to my head now is that in Albania, the national selection to choose their song every year, they still have a live orchestra. This year, they're actually, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how people look at it, they have 3 shows, and one of the shows they're doing it with a backing track, which has upset quite a lot of people because it is the first national final of the year. It's so traditional with the orchestra. And how would you kind of, with that kind of national final, if something like that were to come into ʻdʌz, would you potentially consider entering ʻdʌz again with a kind of bigger orchestral track?
Oh, it would be an absolute dream. It's 100%. Yeah, there's nothing that inspires me more than those real instruments and the options that you have with that. However, you know, a lot of people would argue that you need to move with the times and that the current charts, you know, there is such an amazing plethora of electronic music and contemporary music out there. So I think sometimes there's a little bit more of a classical element to having a live orchestra that wouldn't suit every artist out there. So a lot of people, their options are then opened by having backing tracks, and that's great, and that can obviously offer so many incredible sounds.
Yeah.
There's also, specifically with Eurovision, of course, there's the limit to how many people you can have on stage now, so you wouldn't be able to have players doing all of the different layers.
Yeah, of course.
And
no live instruments at Eurovision either is another rule.
Yeah, so things have changed, and they should do. You know, they should change with the time. So it's I think it's an interesting one for Albania. I think it's a dream that they still have. Well, for me, but their national final with an orchestra. That's gorgeous, but it doesn't then necessarily reflect what actually happens on the Eurovision stage. So that's a
this is
one.
Kind of a problem they have very often. Whilst although this year is a genuinely stunning entry from Albania this in 2018 with Ugent Bushpepper with Mal.
Yeah.
Oh, that voice.
It's incredible. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. But every year there's kind of very often discussion when they do put their songs on that sometimes the atmosphere can be lost with Albania. Wow. But this is why they're changing their national final this year going forward. But But yeah, no, that's interesting. So what kind of, if you could cover any UK Eurovision song in particular, except Storm, in an orchestral style, for an album, or even in your kind of singer-songwriter piano style, if you cover any UK track previously, which UK track would you do?
Well, I did most of them on the tour when we did the Unplugged tour over the summer.
Yeah.
So I think probably the one that went down, and they were all really enjoyable to do for different reasons. The one that went down really well because we sort of twisted it up a little bit was probably Puppet on a String.
Oh, okay.
Just because people weren't expecting it sort of to sound like that. But of course, Puppet on a String and then highlighting it with the beautiful string trio that I had to play with the string thing. That was really fun. Specifically UK, Katrina and the Waves.
Oh, belter.
Yeah, and that actually just became a real hug of a song for everyone in the auditoriums that we were performing in the theatres. It really worked. It really resonated round, and I found it quite moving. I found it quite, we need that like hope and optimism, and the words, the lyrics in that song are so lovely. I think actually that was my favourite.
Okay. With Katrina and the Waves, did you watch Eurovision in 1997 when that won, like the last UK victory, of course?
I wish I had.
Yeah, my first one was the year after.
Oh yeah, no, I missed it. I mean, I would have been how old was I? 6? No, 8. Gosh, my maths. Wow, my maths. Okay, yeah, I was 8. But unfortunately, I missed that. It would have been amazing to see. But no, I didn't see it.
Okay, yeah, I was 6, so I missed it as well, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but just because it was in Brum and I'm a Midlands girl, I was forced to watch it in 1998, and then my life was taken over by glitter and sequins.
Yay!
Okay, and one kind of thing I want to kind of cover is this. Very recently, there's been a change in head of delegation with the UK. Helen Riddle has gone, and I don't know if it's official yet who's come in, but they've kind of announced somebody might be coming in, but I don't really want to say because it's not even definite. But
okay,
if you could, if you, for example, were to go in and do something different with the UK, like changing You Decide, changing the way you actually do the show, what would you change about the UK's participation in Eurovision going forwards? Like, whether it be songwriters or anything like that, what is it that you would do straight away? What would be your first move?
I think that the jigsaw puzzle that is played each year, or that has been played recently, or maybe I should only just talk about my year because that's really the only experience I do have within the team, of sort of getting people to write some songs, but then they're not performing those ones. You're matching up the artist with a different songwriter and their story and their voice. I would perhaps just try and encourage the team to see that there are artists out there who can do both, that can sing and write, because there's a truthfulness on stage. Whether you like the song or not, you can't really argue with the truthfulness if the songwriter is also the performer. I would have loved to have been able to sing my own song.
I think the fandom really would have loved to see your kind of piano stuff as well. Not that we did love Storm, we loved Storm.
Thank you. But we can be braver. We can be braver as a team, as a nation. Here's my political message. Jesus Christ, I can hear myself. It's getting ridiculous. But yeah, I think we can be braver musically. Yeah. And I really appreciate that. Thank you, because doing like the acoustic version of Storm meant a lot to me, because that's my kind of style, and I really wanted to put that out there.
Yes.
But if I had been able to run along those lines from the very beginning as well, I really believe we could have done something really magical. And of course I had an option to go ahead with the creative compromises I had to make. You know, no one was forcing me to do it, and I had an incredible time.
Yes.
But yeah, going forward, I would encourage that there are artists out there who, if their voice is allowed to be heard a little bit in the room, we can do some really, really cool stuff. And it might divide people. Fans might like it, might not, but at least let's divide them. Let's have some love and hate and some Marmite rather than sort
like
of beige.
With Salvador Sobral.
Sorry?
Like with Salvador Sobral, 2017's winner.
Of course, because that truthfulness really resonated on the stage. Whether you could understand the lyrics or not, it didn't matter. It had something obviously magic that then took the trophy. And I honestly think that the best song will still rise to the top of the leaderboard for Eurovision, forgetting the politics that people love to chat about and stuff. I do think the best music will get to the top, and so I think we don't have to play it safe. We don't have to do a sort of a middle of the road anthem that, of course, it speaks to some people, and I'm not going to undermine their feelings and their reactions, but we definitely can be braver, and we have the artists that can deliver that. I know we do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time, to my knowledge, that we sent an artist that wrote her own song, which was Molly Smitten-Downs in 2014, they found her through BBC Introducing, and she wrote the song herself. And whilst the result didn't end up paying off, the 17th for UK is not bad at all. And I think she was very proud. And I do. This is kind of where I really agree with what you've said. And also another thing is taking it over. As soon as we all heard that in May, or was it June, May, that time, everybody was kind of like, wow, like, can SuRie, like the whole send SuRie to Eurovision again started.
Thank you.
We all, like, I can't remember what the hashtag was, but everybody on Twitter really wants, I think it's still going, really would like to see you back at Eurovision with something like taking it over, because it's very modern and minimalist, but really beautiful. And this is, I think, where what you're saying is very true, because it's also the fans kind of want that as well, I believe.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate that, and it was brilliant to release Taking It Over once we got back, because I really wanted that track to air at some point. I wasn't quite sure where or when, but when it did drop, the reaction was really really lovely. And my experience with Eurovision before working with the UK team was obviously with the Belgians, and that sort of mellow, minimalist, electro kind of world that like City Lights and everything came from was so inspiring to me as well. That's why I took those projects and worked on those jobs as well. So musically, I also know how well that can work at Eurovision. Of course, they came fourth both times. It's they're
both completely unforgettable songs too. Everybody still raves now, years later.
Absolutely, yeah.
And with want of kind of not digging too much, how would you compare your experience working with the Belgian delegation to the UK delegation? What differences do you see there that you think could be adopted into the UK delegation?
Well, there are lots of differences. There really are, and the BBC is a public broadcasting service, so they have to be careful when you're working with taxpayers' money that you can't be seen to endorse or support one particular product or brand too much. And if you like, SuRie as a brand or as a product, becomes a brand or product for that sort of experience. And their hands are slightly tied with how much they can promote and support that. So that's definitely a difference and a learning curve. But I think more interestingly, or more importantly for me, artistically with the Belgians, I noticed, especially with Loïc the first time for Rhythm Inside in 2015, he was the master behind it all. he had the support of the team, but the vision was coming from him, musically, choreographically, design-wise. He did the costumes. I mean, he designed them, someone else made them, but he was working on the staging. He had this vision, and they allowed his voice to be heard. And of course, if there was something that wouldn't work budget-wise or logistics-wise, then it was discussed and a compromise was made. But it was coming from him. They believed in his artistry and they believed in him as an artist. And he was 19 years old, but that team saw something in him and they knew that that would then translate so well on stage. So that's what I saw. That was my first experience with Eurovision, which was very inspiring. And it was different with the UK team.
Yeah. And you mean, when you say about this as well, with Netta this year, and I've heard a lot of people kind of discussing that, well, you know, she had her very unique brand, and whilst she wasn't able to use, I can't think of the name of the machine, the voice looper,
the vocal looper,
yeah, whilst she wasn't able to use that, they sort of incorporated it into the song and they made it work, backing singers, but she was very much part of that and things, and so it does still kind of, and with Loïc, I think it's so legendary, and you can tell, like you say before, it's got that personal stamp. You can tell when it's, when you can tell with Loïc. It doesn't surprise me when you say he was
it's authentic.
Yeah.
It's authentic and it's genuine, and you don't have to like it. You know, your own personal tastes could be drawn to something else, but you can't deny the authenticity and the truthfulness in that, and that's what's exciting. That's what makes it stand out in such a long show with so many wonderful countries involved. And you get it.
It's really interesting hearing you talk about it, because it just makes so much sense. It's very, like you say, jigsaw puzzles going together. It really does. I think I completely agree with you, what you've said on that. But,
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure and a joy, and I cannot wait. When does ʻdʌz come out?
So ʻdʌz is released on February the 18th. 2019, which is a special date for me. You don't have to do too much digging or Googling to work out. And we're going to release that, obviously digitally, it'll be everywhere, but there'll be a limited amount of physical copies that you can get as well, because some people still want that sort of tangible physical thing. But we're doing a live launch at the Bishopsgate Institute in the ballroom there in London. And that's going to be really, really special. We'll have the strings. It'll be conducted live. It's that's going to be a really, really special night to launch it. There's a lot of history in that place. And I'll be on this beautiful Steinway piano that belonged to Myra Hess. And again, it's all that authenticity. It's all that truthfulness. This should be really lovely. And I can't wait. Yeah.
It sounds
really good.
Genuinely incredible, and I really can't wait to hear it. Are we likely to see another kind of set of shows after ʻdʌz comes out, kind of other than the launch show? Is there going to be another little tour, or is that something that's kind of being worked out at the moment?
We would absolutely love to, and really we're looking for a live agent to join the team, because we're hoping to break even on this particular project, because again, doing it all sort of independently. But live performance, I love recording, but live performance is really where I'm most comfortable and what I should be doing. And so we'd love to tour it. We'd absolutely love to get more shows, and across Europe as well, because that's what's been so wonderful about Eurovision, is meeting the fans. The amazing fans, mainland Europe and further.
You. Like, the Spanish really love you. So.
The Spanish are so wonderful. I need to get over there. Yeah, they are so gorgeous. Yeah. So we're looking for a live agent, and then I really hope there'll be more shows. Yeah.
Good. Well, it has been a delight. I just want to end this by saying I thought of a Eurovision song sort of close to having a month. There was a song called Autumn Leaves in 2015. That's the best I can come up with. But it's been a delight. And
you're amazing. Oh, it's autumn. Oh, so it's a season.
It's not a month. It's a season. It's as close as I could get. But
I'll let you have it.
It's a great song nonetheless. But thank you ever so much, SuRie. It has been
Thanks
wonderful.
for your time. Thanks for the chat.
Thank you. All right.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Take care.
Bye.